to you about some ways to cultivate a love for yourself. I've always resonated with the idea of self-love. I've connected to it, but I've never actually felt like I felt it or came into it before. It always felt like a slightly foreign concept to me, like what does it actually feel like to really love yourself? And more than just loving aspects of your personality, to me the idea of self-love is almost like being your own life partner, someone who cherishes you, who's always there for you through thick and thin. Some of us might be lucky enough to have partners like that, but the thing about relationships is that you don't want to rely on any one person or any number of people to meet all of your needs. So I actually struggled with loving and appreciating myself growing up. I really liked aspects of my personality, but I always struggled with confidence, with appreciating my exterior self. I'd struggle with what people thought about me. It was almost as if I could imagine or hear what everyone was thinking about me at any given time, and that pressure of constantly being sized up by people and judged by people was too much for me a lot of the time. And for me, that typically translated into how I dressed myself, what I wore, how I presented myself. So through my younger years, I had a lot of trouble getting ready. Sometimes I'd miss classes, I'd be really late for things, I kept people waiting all the time. There was so much distress involved that wasn't typical. If you're having trouble getting ready because you're just looking for something to wear, that's one thing. But if you're breaking down into tears or having angry outbursts and throwing things and giving up in frustration because you can't actually find anything you feel comfortable in, there's a lot more going on than what's at the surface. And if I did force myself to leave the house in whatever I had on or whatever point I'd reached, I wasn't able to be present. I wasn't able to connect with people. My thoughts would just keep going and going and going about every single thing I hated, about what I was wearing, how I looked, what I thought people around me were observing and assessing. I grew up feeling as though the way you present yourself is the way you're valued in the world. It's the most important thing. It's the number one thing that people use to assess what they think about you and whether they'll accept you into their life or whether you're a worthy candidate for, insert here. So it was beyond the point of making myself happy and finding things to wear that made me happy. It was all about how I could present myself in a way that made everyone happy, which is impossible and which is why it's such a challenging and paradoxical thing. You'll never make everybody happy. You'll never avoid judgments and criticisms from people. You'll never know what everybody's thinking, nor will you be able to control it. So the only thing that matters is what you think of yourself and how you feel. But that's so hard to get in touch with when you're completely aligned to only worry about how other people feel. And the irony in that is you can let people down. So by focusing so much on what other people felt and how other people judged me or what other people thought of me, like I mentioned, I was late for things, I would let people down, I wouldn't be able to connect with people the way that I wanted to, the way that I knew I could when I was at my best. It's also another reason why with matters of self-love and appreciating oneself, it doesn't work or help to assume anything about anyone's situation. Someone might think that that I'm beautiful and that I have no reason to feel insecure or self-conscious or feel a lack of self-love, and I might think the same about you for whatever reasons I have. You don't know what someone's internal situation is. You don't know what their history is, what their upbringing is, what they're telling themselves in their mind, the whole time that they're with you. And one danger in a lack of self-love and a lack of self-appreciation was that I looked for external validation. So because I cared so much about what everyone around me thought, I needed other people's approval and, appreciation and praise in order to feel valued. If I didn't get that kind of praise or approval or compliments or what have you, I felt like I did something wrong or like I was missing something or, I wasn't valued that day or in that moment in the world. And as beautiful as compliments are, and I think that flattering people and letting people know what you think about them when it's positive is a beautiful thing to do. It's more about the person on the receiving end. If that's so important to me and I need that in order to feel good about myself, there's a problem there. Now, getting to a place where I actually felt beautiful took so much more internal work than I ever anticipated. So I do encourage you, if you are in a place where you're struggling with loving yourself, there might be physical reasons for that, there might be emotional reasons for that, there might be circumstantial reasons for that, but know that it is multi-layered, it is really deep, and there's so much to uncover there. And it really is a journey of self-discovery that's rewarding in the end, because you not only start to work through some of the issues that maybe you never knew you had, you come to a place where you almost get to know yourself for the first time. I'm so close to the camera, I realized, so I'm just backing away a bit. I basically just wanted to share a couple of tips that I've come to recently about self-love, or how to cultivate self-love. There are 3 steps that I kind of thought of or put together for myself, and that's clearing, hearing, and endearing, which I know some of you out there will appreciate the rhyming. So for clearing, essentially, it's about taking stock of everything in your life with yourself and your surroundings that does not make you feel good. You do have to pay attention to whether those things actually don't feel good or whether you're rejecting them for other reasons. Because my issue was, or I guess the way that my issue manifested itself was with getting ready. What I did was I got rid of all the clothes and all the possessions that I owned that I attributed with negative criticism. If I was flooded with judgments about how I look in that piece of clothing, I just got rid of it. And that could be an area where obviously my issue is affecting how I feel and look at things, but it's sort of like the purpose of decluttering. You just clear the things that are in the way and that don't feel good so that you can start the healing process, and so that you can start to decipher between what actually doesn't feel good and what you're rejecting. And once it was gone, once I donated all of that and was left with the clothes that I felt good in, or that had no attachment to anything negative, I immediately felt relief. I felt motivated to keep working through my struggle. It just cleared the way. So clearing, I think, goes hand in hand with decluttering. And if that applies to things in your life, it's all the same. So if there's a relationship, friendship, work situation, anything that's getting in the way and that is bringing you nothing but negative thought and feeling, get rid of it. Obviously, it's easier said than done, but know that these actions will bring you strength. The hopelessness and struggle is often exacerbated by how overwhelming things are, by not knowing where to start. So clearing the things that don't feel good is a place to start, and it'll make room for growth, and it'll give you strength, and it'll give you motivation, and it'll allow you to start to focus on the things that do feel good. The next step is hearing. So as you've cleared things, you can also start to focus on the things that bring you joy. Following your bliss, following your joy is the path to self-discovery. That can help heal a lot of things, that can help uncover a lot of issues, that can help clarify for you the things that you do and don't like. So following your bliss is not just, a cute saying that you can buy on like a mug. It's like an actual life path that is very fruitful. It can be as tiny and insignificant as sipping a cup of tea, or it can be taking a walk, or it can be traveling, a really odd hobby or quirk that you don't know why but brings you tons of joy. But you do want to be careful that these aren't things that are fooling you into thinking they bring you joy. I might say that it brings me joy to binge watch several episodes of a TV show. It's a self-soothing mechanism, so it doesn't bring me sustainable joy. It kind of gives me a false sense of joy. As you keep following your bliss and following your joy, you will keep uncovering more of the same. And you'll go deeper and deeper into those things that bring you happiness. And they'll be things that are uniquely you, who you truly are, what your gifts are, what your passions are, what you want to do in life. One aspect of hearing that I'll get into in another video probably is listening to your intuition. What I'll tend to do is ask myself a question. So it could be something as simple and low-key as, what do I want to do right now? The immediate split-second answer that you get, it's like instantaneous, is so quiet, but that's your intuition talking. And then it's very quickly followed by your brain's answer or your logic's answer. The first thing I hear in my head, it might be something like meditate, but it's so easy to pass over that answer and go to the first thought, which would be something like, I'm gonna go get a coffee, or I want to check my emails. What my intuition truly wants to do is meditate. You can practice asking yourself those questions really quickly as if you had like a 10-second timer. Do I want to go to this party? No. That response that you'll say without thinking about it is probably your intuition. So the last step is endearing, and that's basically dating yourself essentially. It's about starting to give yourself those things that make you feel good. We should be our own best friend. We should be our own best partner in life. Talk to yourself in loving ways and tell yourself, you know, that you're beautiful, or talk about the things that you love about yourself. Write them down, you know, write affirmations or journal about those things so that you get in the habit of constantly focusing on the beautiful, positive things about yourself. Like if you were with a new partner and you were starting to discover all these beautiful things that you love about them, you also think about that person a lot. If they're a new partner you're falling for, you think about the things you could do to make them feel good, the things you can do to connect with them. You think about all the things you love about them and you encourage them to do more of that. So it's really like dating yourself. So hopefully after doing those 3 steps, you start to feel closer to a point of self-love and self-appreciation. And those are just some things that have worked for me in the last little while that I wanted to share. If you want to connect with me, I'm pretty active on Instagram. You can follow me on there. Thanks for listening and tuning into my video. And I really do hope that these tips help you as much as they've helped me. Peace. Oh God.